Yeah, so talking about podcasts. I know what you mean. One of my favorite podcasts is the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, I've heard him, and I've listened to some of his podcasts as well.
See, I like, for myself, there's a lot of powerlifting podcasts out there these days. There's a lot of podcasts, period. Everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And people ask me if I listen to certain powerlifting podcasts. Because I do a powerlifting podcast, and I
Yeah.
do like the reposting on King of the Lifts, I'm always posting like powerlifting on everyone's lifts, the results of competitions, doing like preview shows and recap shows of powerlifting. For like I commentate for powerlifting events at like the IPF with the IPF and stuff.
Yeah.
So when I'm on like downtime and I'm just chilling, it's tough to listen to more powerlifting, man. Like there was
Yeah.
no life balance if I do that. Like I would be like just 100% I would have no life balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally understand.
It's a little too much. Like I remember asking Brett Gibbs. I was like, I talked about I was talking to Russell Orhe and I mentioned
Yeah.
Brett Gibbs and we're talking about the showdown. And I was like, hey man, did you hear that podcast? He's like, my brother, I coach, I lift, everything powerlifting. Last thing I want to do when I did the day is listen to a podcast on powerlifting. I'm like, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, but it depends if there's like someone who's you're interested in. So that's the podcast you might listen. So
Yeah, well, that's it. Like there is. I will. Like you're right. If there's a podcast, if it's because for in terms of powerlifting, I do like 2 to 3 podcasts a week, and they're like from an hour to 90 minutes. And if we really get rocking and rolling, man, we could go even longer than that. So we're
Yeah.
talking like 6 hours of talking about of powerlifting. So you know, I'm talked out. Like I'm good, right? But even then, if somebody's on a podcast that I'm like, oh shit, you got who? I'll still listen. Because if you get somebody like yourself, you're from Estonia, and
Yeah.
a lot of people who are listening to this podcast right now know nothing about Estonia. Don't know. I did a little research. I was one of them, kind of. I did a little research, okay?
Oh, okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Just to give people a little background about Estonia. And I hope
Yeah.
I'm right with this. This is Wikipedia, so I might be off. Estonia, roughly 1.5 million people?
Yeah, it's like 1.3 million.
1.3. Okay, I rounded up. It is 1.3. That's exactly what Wikipedia said. So you know this. You got your population down. Now, I was looking at the history, and it was saying for like hundreds of years ago, the Swedish Empire kind of had rule, then the Russian Empire for a little while, and then around World War One, there was independence.
Yeah, a short time.
Yeah.
Like, almost 20 years of independence.
And then German occupation during World War II.
No, there were like very short time periods.
Yes, very short. Like Russia, Germany during World War II, back and forth, and then independence once again, right?
Yeah, 92, if I don't wrong.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So we have been independent now like 27 years.
Okay.
Or something like that. I might make a mistake. It was 91 or 92. It's
yeah. So what is in terms of Estonia, so people know. So this is located in Eastern Europe, right on the border, close to Russia.
Yeah.
And you guys speak Estonian?
Yeah, we speak Estonian.
Do you also are you fluent? Like, are most people fluent in Russian and English as well? Because your English sounds good.
Maybe younger generation is more fluent in English. The older generation is more fluent in Russian. But there are people who talk of Estonian, Russian, English. Now they speak even Finnish. So there are like we speak many languages. So
yeah. I mean, I guess if you're 100, like 1.3 million people, and you probably do a lot of travel, like in terms of competitions and whatnot. You leave Estonia. Is the language pro Europe, if you speak English, you kind of get by? Is that what it is?
In Europe,
Yeah.
usually yes. If we go to the Eastern Europe, like we have to go next year, we go to the Belarus, then we can speak in Russian, and that's also fine. So
Yeah. Because when I was doing the IPF commentary for Worlds, I remember going back in the warm-up room, and I'm never sure who speaks English, who doesn't. I don't take for granted everyone does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't just assume. So I ask, like, hey, do you speak English? And I remember talking to, I think it was someone from Lithuania, and he was like, of course. What do you, like, he was shocked that I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. He's like, oh, yeah. So you're surprised sometimes. And when we were in Belarus, some people had no idea what I was talking about if I was at a grocery store or something, but they had lines in the groceries for English speaking.
Oh, okay.
So it helps.
Yeah. English is like I think it's one of the most common language to get by everywhere. Unless you go to South America, then you have to speak Spanish.
Trouble? Yeah. And so when I was on this Wikipedia page, I was also checking out like what sports are big in Estonia, and what you guys watch, what you're into. And they were saying like basketball's getting more popular. There's a history of like Olympic wrestlers, like amateur wrestling champions from Estonia. Yeah. But my man, they didn't have you in there yet. What's going on now? You're a medalist at the World Championships. You deserve a little love on there. Yeah,
it's a little bit difficult because in Estonia, everything is like, if you're not Olympic sport, then you're basically nobody. That's the thing. So
yeah, you know what? That's kind of, for a lot of countries, that's the way it goes sometimes. It's like, when is it in the Olympics? So is powerlifting not that big in Estonia then? Or strongman?
It's getting bigger every year, but I think it's pretty popular right now because we had the nationals a few weeks ago. There were like 100 competitors. Okay. So I think it's quite a lot for such a small country.
Yeah, for sure. And does like the news, when you lift in international competitions, does the newspapers or radio or anyone contact you and follow?
Yeah, newspaper. Basically, sometimes they invite you to the TV shows as well. So,
that's not bad at all. Hey, wow, that's not bad at all. You know, I mean, because are you the strongest man in Estonia?
Yeah, for powerlifters, yeah. But,
is there a strongman do they have strongman in Estonia?
I think maybe Rauno Heinla.
Okay.
He's pursuing this deadlift world record at the moment.
Oh. Hinla. Wait, is he Estonian?
Yeah, he's Estonian as well.
He won the world. Okay, so for people who know, did he not in strongman's world championship for deadlift? Did he tie for first?
Yeah, he might. Yeah, I don't know the result, but he's from Estonia.
Wow.
And from older ages, there is Andrus Murumets, if you know him. He was famous about his former career or something like that. So.
So here's the thing. I was talking to Ida Ron earlier today from Sweden. And some of these times when you guys say the names, like with your own native accents, it sounds nothing like the way I read it and say it in my head. So it's like, I don't even know if we're talking about the same guy. I could be telling you about somebody and you're like, no, we're talking about the same dude. Right? You're like, I don't know if you know him. I might, but I might know him by a different name. But So when you, like, in terms of, when I think of Estonia, I think of the big, like, Eastern Bloc, big, strong men. And you fit that stereotype. Is Estonia, like, are they big, strong men in Estonia?
Yeah, there are, but as the new generations come on, people are getting smaller and maybe they don't want to be that big anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that? I would have loved if you had told me, actually, I'm one of the smallest men in my country. I get picked on. I'm a puny guy for Estonia.
No, I don't think so.
How did when you were growing up? I'm just looking. I'm gonna pull up some of your lifts here, my friend. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a sister.
Do you come from like a big family, like a strength family? How did you find powerlifting?
Actually, it's quite funny story about powerlifting. First of all, I went to gym to lose some weight. I was weighing then like 155 kilos or something like that. I was like basic gym guy, benching, doing biceps, triceps, some back, then some cardio.
Yeah.
And one day I saw a big guy who was wearing the shirt and powerlifting was written on it. I was like, what's powerlifting? And he's strong. He benched like, I don't know, 140 kilos. It was a lot for me then.
Yeah.
Then I went home, Googled it. So, okay, it's sports with 3 lifts, squat, deadlifts, and bench. I didn't squat at that time, no deadlifts. Then first I started deadlifts, and like few months later I started squatting as well. So that's my way to powerlifting.
Oh wow! So at the time, so this is how many years ago?
Oh, it's like 12 years ago now.
Holy smokes! So you've been powerlifting a long time. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 31.
You've been powerlifting young. I was going to say, you don't look like you're old enough to even be powerlifting that long.
I wasn't that young. I started like age of 19 to 20, so basically something like that. So.
And 12 years ago, though, so you probably know that, like, I started powerlifting around 12 years ago as well. I think it was 2007 I started. The change in powerlifting now to what it used to be in 2007. And we're talking, it was like, first off, the IPF was only equipment until 2012. They had the Raw Cup, and it was just a test. It was a tester. And if it went well, they were going to go all in and have a world championship. 2013 was the first world championship. And like, I remember, man, they didn't have live streams. They didn't have, like, you would find out who won what, like, after the fact. Like a week later, if someone posted it, you might see a video. Nobody knew. I wouldn't know what anybody looked like or anything about them. You know, there's no stars. They were just a name on a scorecard. You know what I mean? Like back in the day. Like, did you
actually? Yeah, there were some stars back in the day. Like when I started powerlifting and I competed on my first international competition, there were Carl Ingvar Christensen lifting then there were like Ukrainian guys, Russians, some Norwegians. So there were some stars, but yeah, the powerlifting has grown so much in few recent years. Did you
look up to these guys in when you got into powerlifting and know who they were?
Yeah, you look up to the stronger guys, of course.
Wow. See, for me, I knew people locally, but I didn't I would be aware of people and I would know who was winning what, but I'd never like seen them or like I couldn't watch them live win. I just found out afterwards and maybe saw a video afterwards. Like there wasn't live streams. Like listen to this. This is what it used to be like around 2010. My friend Alex Droltz went to the Arnold Classic in the US and it was a big deal. The Arnold Classic was like a pretty big deal. Still is, but it's even bigger at the time. He was competing. There was no live stream. For me to watch this, they had the live scorecard. So if you get a lift, your attempt turns green. If you miss it, your attempt turns red. And I would refresh the page to see who went, and it would just refresh whether it was green or red. And that's how I watched it live. I was refreshing a scorecard. And this is what I mean, where like, I would know, like I would see your names and I would know who's who, and you would like, all right, you know, but it wasn't like if I watched like Russell Orhe and Brett Gibbs battle it out, or if I watched like you guys in Sweden live, like I was commentating, but if I was to watch it, you get like an emotional attachment in sports. We're like, oh my God, is he gonna do this? Oh my, like, oh, this guy, like, you know, this guy bombed out. This guy came back and took silver. This guy took gold. It's like sports, you have that where for a while there, you know, we had that disconnect. if you were in Ukraine or Russia, I probably didn't know much about you. There was no podcasts. There's no podcast. There's no social media. It was just, you're just a name. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of weird. We're at a different time now.
Yeah, there were some streams, but you had to find them. It's not that easy now. You go just goodlift.info or you just open the Facebook or something. Yeah. Then you had to find them. Like, Google it, find the stream, then the stream went down, then you were,
yeah, especially if like it goes right into the deadlift, you're like, oh yes, and then it shuts off right there. Like, well, who won? You don't get to see the ending of the movie.
Yeah, or if you watch some of your friends competing, and exactly before their attempt, stream went down, you're like, again.
Yeah. I'm talking like it'd be straight up, just a stream, no commentary, no angles. You're just watching it from the back of the room. Yeah. Right? You're like, all right, well, it is what it is. I'm thankful I have more on the scorecard to refresh. So you got into powerlifting. How big were you at the time?
When I went to powerlifting?
Yeah, when you first started.
I was like 160 kilos.
Okay. So you weren't a small... you were a big dude.
Yeah, I were a big guy.
You were a big guy. And did you do sports before that?
Nothing special, but I were active kid. I played basketball, football, all the other basic sports stuff. Did some swimming. So I've been active whole my life, but never went to some special trainings. So.
Yeah. My man, at 160 kilo, you were not going to make the Olympics for swimming.
Damn, my dreams are broken now.
Yeah, dreams are broken. You're like, challenge accepted. Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
If you show up in the pool, they're like, we should talk about wrestling or weightlifting is what we should do. All right. You were in this pool for rehab purposes only, not for racing. When you found powerlifting, because this is around 12 years ago, around 2007-ish as well, right?
Yeah.
I remember at the time, and this is where like online coaching with like the internet, social media, online coaching now, like you could get coaching from anywhere. If I'm not mistaken, who's coaching you right now?
Ross Lepala is coaching me from Reactive Trainings.
That's right, systems. RTS.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying, where now you have these huge coaching firms. They could review video, information is easily transferred. So how quickly powerlifting has exploded in the last like 4 or 5 years. There's no secrets, right? Like everybody sees what people are doing. If you're doing pause squatting, are you doing 8s, are you doing triples? Like people find out and everyone starts doing it, hopping on the bandwagon, new research comes up. But at the time, in 2007, I just know for myself, I remember the same dude, Alex Droltz, floated me, I think it was Boris Chico. And he was like, this is the good stuff. And it was an Excel spreadsheet. And I was like, oh, what is this? And it was some of the words were in Russian, so I knew it was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
Like, oh, if it's in Russian, oh, that's the good stuff. And I remember punching in my numbers, and they would tell me what numbers I had to hit for the next few weeks. And then whatever, it didn't matter how you felt that day. You went in there and you hit those specific numbers because Boris told you to. What was your training like when you first started in 2007?
When I first started with powerlifting, I had like 4-day split. I benched 2 times a week, squatted 1 time a week, and deadlifted 1 time a week. So,
oh wow,
basically, yeah. I had a pretty good coach at this time. Mm-hmm. So when I was a beginner, so you can't put so much volume on a beginner at the first place. But it took me like 3 or 4 years when I first changed my training programs, I made like a bigger change. First of all, I also started with the Shaco programs.
Yeah, of course.
Did them. Then I saw that it's like I was maybe not overtrained, but my body was stressed. after those programs. Then I rested a little bit. Then did small of a program, if you have heard it.
Small, oh yeah, that's brutal, but
yeah, it's even worse than shake.
Yes, it is.
So I did that. Then I did things with my own head, and it was last year in July when my girlfriend actually told me that you need a better coach. You need a coach. And
coach. Stop playing yourself.
yeah, it's actually pretty hard to coach yourself. Mm-hmm. It's easier when you have a coach who will write down your training plans and everything, and you just have to lift. You're just an athlete. You don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. And I contacted with the reactive training system guys, but last year in Canada, I met Ross at the warm-up room, and we talked a little bit. And after that, I decided that, okay, I will write to reactive training systems, and I will choose Ross for my coach. So,
you know what? I feel a little silly now when I asked you what you're coaching, who coaching you're with, and you're wearing an RTS shirt. I'm an observant guy, right? I'm a quick guy. Me, you're wearing a freaking RTS shirt. I know what you mean. So, because back in the day, we didn't really like the RPE system, which RTS has made famous. We didn't really do too much back in the day. You know, I remember like Mike T, who's like that started RTS. He grandfathered it in. I don't know if people even recognize it. Actually came from initially. He didn't invent RPE style, but he's the one who brought it to powerlifting, if I'm not mistaken. Because initially, it was I think it was like bikers, endurance athletes who did like huge stretches on the bike and for the Olympics. And for a long time, they were like powerlifters where they were just numbers. They're like, okay, let's say the course is, I'm just going to throw a number out there, I'm probably wrong. But let's say the course is 100 kilometers. They said to be prepared for 100 kilometers, week 1, you have to complete 20 kilometers of road work. Week 2, you have to complete 30. And they just did it like that until you're up to 100. Forever. That's how training went. And that's kind of like powerlifting where you're like, all right, you have to do this much week 1, week 2, do this much. Kind of a percentage of where you want to end up. And then one year, one of the Olympic teams just like massacred everybody in cycling. And they're like, what did you guys do? What did you change? And what they started recognizing was your nervous system. If you just force numbers in there, you can overtrain and overtax your nervous system. So they decided instead of just hitting certain numbers in training, they started doing it by, I think, the heartbeats per minute. And they're like, look, we're going to maintain a certain level of taxation, and we judge it by the heartbeats per minute. And I'm going to judge this many heartbeats per minute as an RPE 8. I'm going to judge this many heartbeats per minute as an RPE 9 and 10. And then that's how the coaches were individualizing these programs for specific people, saying, look, this is what you got to do. Your body's getting tired, judging by this output, that output. So then they started structuring it like that. Boom. Changed endurance cycling forever. And then after the cycling got it, other coaches from this is like the 70s, man. This is way back in the day. So this RPE's been around for a minute. And other coaches in other sports were like, let's see if this works for us. So then you have like all the different sports started doing by either by heart rate or whatever. Then eventually, I don't know how Mike T found it, but God bless him, glad he did. Mike T was probably reading a book and read about how they trained. And were like, I wonder if I can make this like powerlifting. And decided, I had Mike T on the podcast, but this is like 2 years ago. I should have him on again. Well, I had him on after the World Championships, but I think he even talked about you. But
yeah, I know.
Yeah, you are. But I had him on initially when he's talking about how he devised this, and I think that's when he decided, look, I'm going to do it in reps, 2 reps in the tank, 1 rep in the tank. Like how many reps you had left at the end of your set. That's the RPE, and then put it into play. Game's been changed ever since. I don't know. I don't know anybody who doesn't do RPE. He'll give like specific numbers, but RPE is number one.
Yeah, because it's so logical actually. You don't if you're like if you're not a professional athlete, you have a daytime job and everything like that.
Yeah.
You go to trainings, you have an exact weight you have to do. It's like okay, the weight says that it's 80%, but when you do it, you feel it's like 100. So
yes.
it's you overshot it. The next time you go to training, you are fresh and you do the same weight with 80% and you feel it's like 60. So we have discussed with my masseuse therapist, and it's also same. He's a runner, so and he said like, oh, okay, it's a good point to take him to running as well. So if you have a distance, time, and heart rate, you don't. The distance is off the floor. Basically, you just take the time and heart rate. So the distance doesn't matter. Distance is like the irrelevant thing that changes all the time.
Yeah.
So and you follow the heart rate and time. So that's the maybe the heartbeat for the runners.
Yeah, it's when I was training some hockey players in Canada, hockey's huge, and I was coaching some of the hockey players as like part of the weightlifting part, where like we're talking about squats, bench, etc. Because some of these kids were a little small. Hockey, man, you get hit like it's full contact, right? So some of these guys had to bulk up. And I stuck around and started watching how they started doing their drills. And they would have heart rate monitors on their chest. Sprint both ways, come back, chill a minute, and they don't sprint again. The guy is monitoring their heart rate, and it wasn't like, do these kids wait a minute before they sprint again? Do they wait 2 minutes? He's like, no. They go again when I see their heart has returned to resting rate. If it's in 10 seconds, good, go. But it's all on you. Like you're monitoring you. It's not specific time, specific, that's kind of like you're talking about where, no. If you're in shape, I'm not holding you back and making you wait longer than you need to. Go. Your heart's back to normal, rock and roll. Let's get the most out of this 30 minutes of sprinting. Or if you're out of shape and your heart takes 2 minutes to return back to normal heartbeat, I'm not going to run you into the ground so the next day you're dead, and then you're just burnt out 2 weeks in. So, like, it's changed, man. Everybody's changed. Like, the heart rate monitors the whole nine, And I didn't even think about that back in 2007.
Me neither.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you were like, you did, because I've known this all along. I just wanted to say, you were saying you're a masseuse. I have gone to get like a massage, and they're trying to break me down in the back, and they're like, damn, you got a lot of muscle. This is tough to get to it. Your masseuse got to be the hardest working masseuse in the planet.
Not really. He's a powerlifter. He used to be powerlifter, but he has strong hands and he's a smart one. He knows how to use his power, like not getting so tired and do the job. So
I shit you not. One time I went to see a guy and he was digging into my shoulder, okay? And he started with a thumb. He's like, I think I found something. I was like, yeah, no, I feel something. He's like, hang on a second. And he dropped his elbow into it. And I seen his feet. So you have your face in the table, and you're like, there's a hole in the table where your face goes. Yeah. So I can't see him, but I can see his feet. And I lost his feet for a second. His feet came up. And the dude he had his feet pushed against the wall. It was pushing into my back, like using the wall for leverage. I was like, gee, sweet Jesus, man, you got me. You felt like I almost tapped, man. I was like, oh, all right, we're good. But yeah, I can only imagine trying to break you down if you have to like get in deep.
Yeah, I think there's like, it's not so important to get so deep into this if you are a masseuse, so you don't have to dig so deep into the muscles to fix them. Yeah. Sometimes it's even worse if you go so deep.
So this guy was just being mean to me, or what?
Yeah, might be.
This dude did I take his parking spot? He just didn't like me. He's like, I'm gonna humble this young man. He's got way too much pep in his step. I wanted to ask you, so you've been powerlifting since 2007. And I'm just pulling up your dossier here. How many European and World Championships have you been to?
Oh, okay, let me think. If we count in all my competitions, 2011 it was 2010 was the first time, 2011 was the second time. Damn, I think around 10 or even more.
Oh, wow. And you have medaled good and plenty. You are the reigning European champion.
Yeah.
And you won World Juniors bench press. And that's silver medal in terms of the Open Championships for powerlifting. Is Sweden the silver medal the highest you had gotten?
In Open Worlds, yes.
Yeah. Let's talk about Sweden for a second there.
Okay.
So first off, how was traveling for a big man like yourself?
Oh, it was actually the quickest travel for me from home to a hotel. It took me like 6 hours. One flight, then 1.5 hours with train, and I was already in the competition place. So
yeah,
it was a quick one.
And how are flights when you're a big man like yourself?
For me, it's okay, but the person who sits next to me, she already has the problem.
I like the way you look at it. Hey, man, I'm good. It's the person.
But I can live with it, so.
Yeah. And and obviously, it doesn't matter in terms for yourself. It doesn't matter in terms of cutting weight, but on the flip side, you have to eat food to maintain the size and maintain your strength. And we've seen like Ray Williams speak on it when he has a food change. I mean, things can go haywire on him. Is that a problem that you would experience previously when you go to a different country?
No. We are from Eastern Europe. It doesn't matter. We eat everything.
You guys, you go down the hatch, man. It's all calories.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So when you showed up in Sweden and you've done as many world championships as yourself, what was your expectations? Because you ended up, when you showed up, how the story unfolded, you ended up loading up a monster deadlift for the win, and you were pulling for the win. Going into Sweden, were you ever telling yourself, man, I'm going to be pulling for the world? I'm going to be pulling for a gold medal?
No, actually, when I saw this nomination list, my first task was get the medal. Okay, I thought that, okay, Ray and Chesa is far ahead, and then the other guys, I have to beat them.
Yeah.
When Ray bumped out, I saw, okay, I might have a chance. But my squat wasn't so good on that day. Yeah, bench was very good, but my squat was a little bit off. I don't know even why. I think it was because I lost my balance on my second squat, and I was a little bit afraid to add more weight for the squats. And then when we went to the deadlifts, when Chesa pulled this last one, then was, okay,
let's go.
We have to go all out.
We're going all in. Now, for myself, I remember, because I was commentating at the time, and it's all happening live right in front of you. I didn't see Ray Williams' last warm-up. When you're in the warm-up room, are you checking out your competition and seeing how they look? Had you noticed anything with Ray when he was warming up, or were you just totally in the zone doing your own thing?
If I remember right, then yeah, I looked his last warm-up. It wasn't so easy.
No.
But I thought, okay, I think he can do it.
Yeah.
They were talking with his coach, and coach told him that, are you sure about the opener? He says, yeah, I'm sure. Then, okay, if athlete is sure, then go ahead. But usually, I think it's better if you don't look around so much. You just focus on your own thing and do your own stuff. So
yeah. I know what you mean because Matt Gary's his coach, and Matt Gary's on this podcast all the time. And Matt Gary was saying, kind of like yourself, where he asked him, okay, looked a little shaky. How you feeling? You all right? And Ray was like, we're good. We're all right. And Ray's probably telling himself, I don't feel great, but I've always pulled through. It's always worked out for me. Sometimes when he's won so many times in a row, whether it's the U.S. Raw Nationals, Arnold Classic, then the Worlds, that's 3 times a year for the past 5 years. The guy just doesn't have a bad day. So he's probably telling himself, all right, I have a bad day. My third won't be that heavy, but I won't miss my opener. Like you almost just can't picture it. Even if you're Ray, if you're everyone around him, you can't picture it. And I remember when I was commentating, he came out, and the one thing I noticed was, oh my gosh, his body weight is a lot lower. Like he's lost a decent chunk of body weight. And Matt said that was new. Like when he was in the US, he wasn't that light. He traveled, and a few days later, weighed in, and is like, oh wow, I've lost a lot of weight real quick. When he missed his first squat, and everyone in the back, yourself included, did you think like, holy smokes, this might happen? Like Ray might bomb out, or were you always like, nah, he'll get something out of this?
I didn't have time to think about his squats. I had to do my own thing, and so for me, I don't have the time to like see other people's lifts.
Yeah.
I'm just focusing for my own competition, and maybe after the squats you see how everybody did, and then you can go on. But
yeah, so
far it's your own who have to do the job. So
what about when squats was over? You had to have found out when it's all over in a squat event. Did someone tell you then? Because that Ray had bombed out.
Yeah, I saw the table.
Okay.
And heard the noise, but.
And you're like, oh,
yeah, it was like, okay, Ray is out. It doesn't matter. I have to do my own competition. Mm-hmm. I didn't think about winning. I was like, okay, now I have a chance for the second place.
Yeah. It's got to be tough. I know you mean it's easier to stay in your own zone and not let things affect you. You don't overthink anything because everyone around you's thinking the same thing. Well, we all move up a slot. But the fight's not over. You still got Jezza. You still got the Algerian. There's a lot of dudes still in the hunt. And it's far from over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's not over until it's over. So
yeah, you don't want to get too excited just yet. So the bench press rolls around, and so you went 3 for 3 in the deadlifts, and then you end up going 3 for 3 in the bench press and bench pressing 257 kilo. Which is a monster bench press.
It's okay.
Okay. What were you expecting for your squat and your bench press? What would you like to have hit?
Before the competition?
Before the competition.
Actually, I hope to squat like 350 or something around there. And the bench was basically what I was expecting. Maybe 260 was maybe the most I hoped, but I had to play it smart to collect the kilos, not to miss the third one, because if I had missed it, then I lost like 12.5 kilos, and I will be under the pressure for the deadlift. So
yeah,
you have to be smart.
Yeah, it's that dicey proposition where it's like, look, if I could go for a personal best, I could try to push it, but for 2.5 kilo, if I miss, I drop all the way back to my second attempt, which is only 247.5. That's 10 kilo. So do you risk 10 kilo for a 2.5 kilo jump? That's where it gets, so it's like, let's take with the safe route.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to be smart all the time. You have to be smart. When you're doing the full powerlifting meet, you have to be smart all the time with the attempt selection and everything. So that's why I like RTS very much, because they are a little bit conservative about the weight attempt selection, but it pays off at the end of the day.
You know what's funny? So when you say that they're conservative, I don't think I've ever talked to a powerlifter. If you get the lift, you almost always think you had more in you, right? Every powerlifter does, right? They're always like, I had 5 more in me. You know what I mean? Even if it's a grinder, it's like, I have more in me.
No, for me I have had attempts where like, no, that was my max. It was hockey 11.
Really? Yeah. You're like, oh shit, did I get that? I didn't even think I got that. Wow.
It's like if after the attempt you don't remember anything. If everyone asked, was it heavy? I was like, I have no idea.
I blacked out. I got the squat command, and I came to, and I got white lights. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Going into the deadlift, so it's kind of a bit of anybody's game. Jez is ahead, but you can outpull Jez by a considerable margin. I mean, his last deadlift was 300 kilo, at least on today. Now, Jez has started having grip issues, and he had a grip issue with his opener, and it started looking like for a second there, if Jez couldn't hang onto the bar, he might bomb out. Now, did you watch Jez's deadlifts? Because I look at as a live commentator, first Ray bombs out, and you just take the cards and reshuffle the whole deck. It's anybody's game now. Jez is in the lead, big squats, big bench. We know what he's at. He's not 100%. Clearly, Jez is not 100%, but he's still Jezza, still world class. Going into the deadlifts, when that came out of his hands on his first opener and he started having issues, did you see that? And what were you thinking at the time?
I didn't see it.
Oh!
But I had Rico Martin and the Algerian guy who I had to fight with. So
yeah,
it was like, okay, first these guys, and then let's see before the third attempt where we are and what we can do.
Yeah. It's because those guys did not miss either. And Jezza ended up, so he missed 280 on his opener, hit 280 on his second. And I mean, when it comes to a grip issue, right up until the last second, everyone's wondering if that's coming out of your hands. He loads up 300 kilo. And this is the most important lift of Jezza's life. Jezza needs this 300 kilo if he's going to have the miracle upset win that he's about to have. But 280 came out of his hands. He went 50-50 with 280. When he missed, when he hit. He loads up 300 kilo, and everybody in the room, I think, knew this is it. He either hits this and solidifies a win, or this comes out of his hands. Did you watch that one?
No.
No, you don't care. You're like, no, tell me. Just tell me afterwards. Load up the bar for me.
Yeah, it's like when you have such a great coaching staff around you, they are making the attempt selection. You're just a lifter. You just have to lift it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the opponents do, or did he miss it? Did he pull it? Okay, yeah. When he will not miss this last attempt, then okay, yeah, I might be under even more pressure because it will be only have to be 352.5 to pull. So
yeah, it's you know, it's funny. The more people I talk to in terms of like powerlifters from around the world, some of them like to keep their eyes on things, and some of them watch and they want to see what's going on. And some people are like, I don't want to watch. You don't got to tell me. Just load the bar. You drive. I'm in the passenger seat.
I'm like in the middle of somewhere like there. So sometimes I like to watch, sometimes I don't. So
yeah,
it depends. But mainly I don't watch.
Really? Okay. So that's pretty disciplined of you because this is a big day. Like the field was wide open. So as the story goes, obviously Jezza hits. Ironically, in the deadlifts, Jezza was the only lifter to not get his opener in the hunt for the gold anyways. He was the only lifter of the top 5. And then in the last deads, he was the only lifter to get his last dead. And he needed it. And every single other lifter missed it. So end of the day, everyone's pulling for that win. Everyone smells blood. And they're like, man, we this is the day we could be a world champion. What was it like when you were walking up there? Did you know at least that you were pulling for the gold medal?
Yeah, I know it.
Okay.
I was like, it's the most important pull of my life so far.
Yeah.
I have to pull it, but it was a bit too heavy.
Is it, had you ever pulled anything like that before?
No.
So it's way...
Not even from racks or anywhere.
This was one of those, it's going to take a miracle. Let's see what happens.
It's like...
It is what it is. But by that time, you had, your silver medal was guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Because you ended up pulling, if I'm not mistaken, you pulled last, right?
Yeah, I pulled last.
Okay. So your silver medal was already defended, and you ended up going for the win. Now, this was your biggest, where does this rank in terms of your powerlifting accomplishments for you?
What do you exactly mean?
I mean, because you've been powerlifting for 12 years.
Yeah.
And in terms of all your performances, where do you put this Swedish World Championships for you? Is this number one? Or do you have another one that meant more to you?
Maybe Euros. But from Sweden, yeah, I had a chance to pull for the victory, to be the world champion, but not this time.
Not yet.
But after that, I thought that, it might be my only chance to pull for the world championship title. So
yeah, you got to do it. You'd be crazy not to.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's nothing to lose.
Yeah. And how does Estonia, do they support you? Do they know what you're doing? Like, did you have a lot of people who had maybe showed up or are watching on the live stream at home?
Yeah, my family was watching, friends, all other powerlifters. Yeah, they were watching.
Yeah. And does it mean, what's it like? Because it's only 1.3 million people. And when you when you're the number one, you could be the number one in the world if you're coming from the US. They have so many sports stars in terms of name it, hockey, basketball, football, and this is American football. In Estonia, when there's 1.3 million and there's fewer stars in the world scene because of the population is the US is 300 times the population. Yeah. Literally 300 times the population. When you're up there like that, do you feel added pressure when you're representing Estonia and you know what it means to be on the world scene and doing what you're doing?
No, not really. I represent my country, but as well I represent myself, and I want to give my best all the time. So maybe it's more pressure from me than from other people. Yeah. Because if you're an athlete, you want to win all the time. Doesn't matter what you do. If you play basketball or I don't know, it doesn't matter. If you have this athlete heart in you, you want to win everything.
Yeah.
Every competition you do.
And so you don't really put that pressure on you that you're lifting for other people as much in that day. You're more you can only because I know what you mean, where you can only do what you can do. And it's even though you got a country behind you, you're just one man on the platform, right? You can only focus on what you can control.
Yeah.
But do you think though, in Estonia, because it would mean so much, you know what I mean? Do you feel that in terms of, or is the country just not really rally behind you in terms of powerlifting like that yet, so you don't have to feel that pressure?
I don't feel that pressure. I think there are other athletes who feel it, who's doing athletics, or the wrestlers, or fencers, or whoever is competing on the Olympics and for the medals. For them, there is a pressure from the people, from the press, and from everybody else. But for powerlifting, we are not so important at the moment. So that's why I don't feel that pressure. I don't feel that much pressure from the other people. So.
And do you think that'll change in the future? Is it getting more and more popular? For instance, when you have a guy like you, larger than life, you meet you in real life, you're like a dude who steps straight out of a comic book. The weight you could squat and bench press and deadlift is ridiculous. You could flip cars, pull planes. You're like one of these dudes. You're like a strong man, one of the strongest men in the world. And for you to be winning the European Championships, international events, taking a silver medal at the World Championships, do you see in the future Estonia starting to rally behind you more if you just keep racking up those wins and doing what you're doing? What do you think needs to happen for that to happen?
First of all, powerlifting must be the Olympic sport. Then,
really? Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we have this weightlifting guy, Siim, if you ever heard him.
Yes.
He's the guy who has the pressure from the other people, from the press. But for me, I don't know. Yeah, powerlifting must be Olympic sport. Then we have
a little more exposure.
Then we can get this. I don't even know how to say it right.
Yeah, no, I got what you mean though, where it's like some press, if it's not the Olympics, they don't think it's high caliber. They just don't really.
Okay, I think we are losing connection.
Okay, 1 sec. I can still see you. Can you see me? I think I'm gonna drop out and call.
Yeah, now I see it.
You got me. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, I was just saying, like, if I know you mean.
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the connection is establishing right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay now.
Okay. I was just about to say, I know you mean where some places, if you're not Olympic sport, they don't care. They don't, I don't know if like, because it's still the World Championships. It's not like it's small time, but it's just like they don't care to learn about it. So there's traditional in terms of their outlets. I think one thing that helps, and that's where some people don't even realize, when we got on the Olympic channel, and some people are like, what's the big deal if you get on the Olympic channel? You know, because YouTube's massive anyways. But the Olympic channel for some places in the world, it's the exposure that we need. Like for normal mainstream media outlets, the credibility goes so far up in terms of sponsorships, in terms of other like channels picking us up. When you're on the Olympic channel, you are alongside the athletics. Like when they profile the 100-meter dash and it's Usain Bolt, we're on the same channel as Usain Bolt. We're on the same channel as like all the Olympic sports. That's a massive push for powerlifting. People who are watching the Olympic channel just for Olympic coverage and aren't even powerlifting fans are going to end up watching you and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why it was so big. You'll have sports writers in sports channels that are watching the Olympic channel for their latest coverage and for their latest stories. And well, take a look at what I just found earlier today. You know, and that's how we're going to get that exposure.
Yeah, I think that IPF is doing a pretty good job to getting us to the Olympics. And when it happens one day, then this sport is going to be massive.
Yeah, hopefully. Now, you're 31, and as a heavyweight, I mean, you could probably last forever. Do you think in your lifetime in lifting, do you think you'll see us in the Olympics?
Yeah, I think we will see powerlifting on the Olympics, but I think I'm that old then that I can't compete anymore.
You don't think so? You never know. You never know. I mean, you got guys like David Ricks who are like 175 years old.
Oh yeah. He's a legend.
Yeah. It's when people talk about whether or not we'll be in the Olympics, and some people like it'll never happen. And I'm not so. Here's the thing: the way I look at it, it's all about for myself. If they think people are going to watch, if there's a viewing audience for it, us being on the Olympic channel, and honestly, this is how I feel. It was a test for them. Do people care? Is this something that people tune into and watch? End of the day, the Olympics now is it's a show. You know, we need to see viewership. There's a lot of money involved, a lot of sponsorship involved. Governments that take this on put a lot of money into it, and they need return on this, on their investments. They want sports that are going to bring eyeballs. Is it entertaining? Do people care? They'll do stuff like ballroom dancing if they think it's going to bring eyeballs. And that's ballroom dancing.
Exactly.
Speed walking. They got ridiculous sports like speed walking. If they think people are going to watch it. Powerlifting is starting to, for a long time, people talked about powerlifting like it's boring. It's not fun to watch. Lately, you've been hearing like people actually get entertained when they watch the European Championship and the World Championship, the US Raw Nationals. It's becoming big viewership.
Yeah.
And us getting on the Olympic channel, when they tweet out, they usually tweet out, tune in 2 p.m. downhill skiing. Tune in 3 p.m. You know, we got speed walking. For powerlifting, they were tweeting like every day, several times a day. Make sure you don't miss, you know, the 120 plus kilo men are battling it out. And they and we were getting emails every single day because of the, you know, the value that we were giving to the Olympic channel. So it might not be as crazy as people think, powerlifting getting into the Olympics, because it's all about whether they think people are going to tune in.
Hopefully that it happens. I hope it happens soon, as soon as possible. But we don't know when it happens, and if it even happens. But hopefully, yes.
Well, we have people like a Russell Orhe who has like close to 300,000 followers on Instagram, and take a look at some like a water polo player and see how many followers they have on Instagram. They got none. You know what I mean? Like, we have stars. We have legitimate people who around the world follow just as fans.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly.
rare. So
we have, yes.
Yeah, we have them. We just got to expose them. In terms of your greatest accomplishments in powerlifting, been at it for 12 years. Which one is probably number one for you?
It's I think it's a little bit tough decision, but okay, yeah. Last year Euros were my peak goal that I achieved, but the first gold medal from the juniors, I think this is the most memorable because when I won it, maybe I didn't feel anything special, but if you turn back the time and you see that, okay, it was quite a big thing that in that day actually, and maybe I didn't realize at that moment that it's a big thing. Yeah. I was like, okay, I won. It's like one competition, but later, if I haven't won anything on the big stage, and last year I won it the Euros, it's like, okay, now I know how it feels, and now I can enjoy it even more.
Because this is 2011.
Yeah.
And you know what? I know what you mean. Where sometimes when you first start, and they talk about this in sports in general, when things come, I don't want to say come easy, but when you start off and you start winning, you're winning world championships a few years in, and you're like, oh well, I mean this could be kind of the way it is for me. And you don't realize sometimes you win, and if you win a few years in, you might kind of have that expectation, all right, this is, I'm special. This is what it takes. Like, I can keep winning. 8 years later, and you're like, holy shit, that was the only world title I got. Like, it is hard. The world is a big place. Coming back and winning is not you can't take it for granted. And sometimes, like, it's a part of getting older. You start realizing what you had after the fact when you look back and you're like, that was a moment. I didn't even know at the time. I didn't realize at the time how special that was. The stars have to align. I've been in those situations where I look back and I'm like, I don't think I fully appreciated what was happening when it was happening until it like afterwards. And you're still chasing that moment. You're like, damn, that's a hard one to get.
Yeah, and you want to experience it once more. Yeah. When you have experienced it once, you have to do it once more. Yeah. And after that, you want to do it again.
Yeah. It's I remember, so in 2000, actually it's 2011, same time. I was on Canada's Got Talent, and then I got my own reality TV show. We were flying all over the world filming it. And I just had shot a bunch of emails to TV producers with like a media package I did. And things came, like, again, I don't want to say easy because I hustled hard to get that, but it happened. And I was like on, like, Canada's Got Talent was like a couple million people watched it. This TV show was like worldwide on like the Food Network, and we filmed like a full season. And I'm thinking, shit, man, who knows what's next? Maybe I do this, maybe I do that. I'm thinking this is just gonna get bigger and bigger, right? And then when the show, like, it just lasted one season, taken off the air, and then you start sending out more emails, like, all right, what's next? And there was, oh no, that's a wrap, we're good. And you're like, oh shit, that was, you're like, oh no, that wasn't just, if there wasn't more and more, like, eventually started doing other things, but it took years to get back. Now I'm doing like IPF on the worldwide broadcast, and this is like probably even better job because I love powerlifting. But I know what you mean, where you're like, you look back and sometimes you don't realize, like, I just thought, well, I'll do what I did last time to get on a TV show. I'll do it again. I know how to get on the TV show. This is what I'll do. And I won't get into the whole background story, but there's a whole process you do. You could do it all over again and it doesn't happen. And then you try it again and it doesn't happen. And then you try it again and you're like, years go by, like, that's, it's not that easy when you look back.
Yeah, and sometimes it don't even happen again.
No.
It was only once in a lifetime thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you can't experience it anymore. So
yeah. That's why if I'll tell anybody advice, when they're like some people like in the preview shows leading up to World Championships, European Championships, and you get nervous about the outcome. You start getting nervous about things that are outside of your control. And it doesn't sound like you do that because, by the way, talking to you, you don't focus on those things. But I tell people, like, just soak it up and appreciate the moment. You're going to fly across the world. Everyone all over the world in your sport's going to be watching, and you're going to have a moment. Just appreciate the fact that this is happening. You're in the moment. It just you may never make it to a world title again. This may never happen again. Just enjoy what's happening and realize, like, man, I share an elevator and I might not even understand any other language in the elevator. That's unique, man. There's like people from 30 different nations in the same hotel room. 30 different nations, different backgrounds, different beliefs, different everything, all in the same hotel room for the same event, and people all over the world are going to watch it. It's crazy when you think about it. And like yourself, you're one of the strongest men in the world, and you're going to hit the platform with one of the strongest men in the world, all these other guys. It's special. It could be over, like, it may never happen again.
Exactly. It might never happen again.
Yeah.
That's the story. And before this year, Europeans, my friend asked that, oh, it's going to be tight this year. I told that there's nothing I can do with my opponents. I have to do my best. That's it. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to the last deadlift, then we can see where we at. So
yeah, you can't take things for granted.
No,
is a big takeaway. I remember so the first year of commentating was in Texas, and the second year was in Belarus. And I remember Ray Williams hit the platform, and I was commentating, and I said, this right now, I'm just talking about what I feel at the moment. And I heard myself, which is a weird thing when you hear yourself. Sometimes when you're commentating, you overanalyze what you're saying. In your day-to-day when you're talking, you're not even thinking about it. You're just talking to your friends, whatever. Sometimes when you're commentating, you overanalyze what you're saying because you know it's live, worldwide broadcast. And people take snippets of the Ray Williams and they'll repost it on YouTube, just his performance, and it lives forever. I see my commentary on so many different outlets that aren't even IPF anymore, and I'm like, holy shit, man, I gotta watch what I say sometimes because it lives forever. And so you analyze what you're saying. It's really bizarre. And I heard myself say, this might be the strongest man in the world. This might be the strongest powerlifter we've ever seen. And he's about to do his thing. It's something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. And he walked out for a squat. And I heard myself say it, and I was like 20 feet away, and I thought to myself, holy shit. I'm in Belarus watching one of the world's strongest men in history, commentating the World Championships with a live broadcast. And it just hits you like that, where you're like, you know, this is wild. How the hell, like, I'm board a plane and go across the world and commentate on some stuff like this, watch one of the strongest men in the world 20 feet in front of me, squatting over 1,000 pounds. It doesn't even seem like real life when you actually think about it. You know, these are moments. And I had like a weird, like a weird presence right there. Like live on the air, you start getting like, you feel weirded out by like, holy shit, this is real. This is a moment right now. I gotta appreciate what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. You have to live in the moment, and it's hard sometimes to realize that that moment can't be like historical. Yeah. Like, I don't know, if you see some race squats, yeah, they are historical if you witness them. Mm-hmm. He might never squat this weight again. Yeah. Or there is nobody else who can squat this weight again. So it might be the once in a lifetime thing, and you were there, you saw it, and that's it.
Yeah. Do you ever tell yourself, like, when you got a silver medal at the World Championships, and you're like that, you're number 2 in the world right now? Does that dawn on you to be like, and you're a heavyweight, so that's the top of the food chain? Does that ever, like, did that hit you when you went home to Estonia and be like, holy smokes? Are these some of the goals you're checking off?
It's like, it's not that easy. Maybe I'm a little bit rough against myself. Yeah. For me, it's like, okay, yeah, you're second, but I don't take it as a so big thing, but there are people who's coming to congratulate me and say, oh, you did amazing, and then you realize, okay, maybe I did something big. Yeah. But it's, for me, for myself, it's like a little bit hard to put it in some kind of perspective or something like that. it's not so easy. But maybe the people who see it from the other side, they see that it's actually a really big thing. But for me, it's like, oh, okay, I just do my thing and that's it.
When you look back on all this, well, first off, what are your immediate goals that you want to hit in 2020 in the next few years? Like, what are some of the, because you've been close to some big certain round numbers that you've been chasing, or perhaps certain performances that you want. What are some of the goals that you want to hit that you tell yourself? Because when I'm talking about your squat and your bench, you're like, yeah, it's good, but I had other numbers in mind. What are you chasing right now?
Ooh, it's actually a little bit tough question. First of all, let's do these Euros in 2 weeks. And I have actually next competition coming in January. I got invited to Iceland to compete on Reykjavik International Games. And my biggest goal at the moment is to get one record at least, and it's 3 lift bench press record in 3 lift, European bench press record. It's at the moment it's 270 kilos. We will see when it happens and does it happens, but it's my main goal, and it's been a goal for me for a long time to once hold a one continent record or world record. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
One record at least.
Oh, open world record. I believe, was it not the Algerian? I don't want to mess up his name. Do you know how to say his last name properly?
No.
Okay. Bougalim? Remember? Yeah. I remember when he hit the world record on bench press. Did you see his celebration when I think his coach came out, they stood on the bench, and they're like, yeah, and they were like celebrating, and it was a bit of a powerlifting moment.
Yeah.
I seen also Jason Mike, Jason Mike he's a master lifter. So he's like a dude in his 40s, by the way. Yeah, so you know Jason Mike.
Yeah, I know him.
And he had been chasing the bench press open world record, the one that Bougalim, I think, took. He'd been chasing that for years. We had him on the podcast and he talked about it. He was kind of like you were saying, look, if I could just grab that world record, that no one can ever take that from me that it happened. You could break the record, but that happened in history. That's attached to my resume. And he had been chasing that for years. And as a master lifter, you kind of know the clock's winding down on you. Your opportunity's this big. You know what I mean? It's shrinking. You got to get it done. And he went into Calgary as a master lifter. And probably one of the biggest moments I remember from World Championships is when Jason Mike took that world record, fell onto his knees, and was like, oh my God, it finally happened. That was one of my goals I wanted to hit.
Yeah, when you have been working so hard for something and once you achieve it, it's like amazing feeling.
Yeah. Is that your when all's said and done, when you're done powerlifting period, what are some of the goals you want to hit before you wrap it up?
I don't have some so specific goals. Yeah, okay, this record, maybe win some Euros. If I have a chance, maybe one day win this world title. But yeah, it's just I don't have so specific goals for. And 1,000 kilos is okay. Also one goal.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, you take that, huh?
Yeah, but it's a goal. It's one milestone, but maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it doesn't happen ever. I don't know, but it's a thing to work for. So,
do you when you think about milestones like 1,000 kilos and certain goals? Are you reluctant to pick a goal because you don't want to get too goal focused and lose sight of what you're doing day to day? And if you don't hit a goal, you don't want to change. That you don't want to take things for granted, basically. Is there a reluctance to say you want a certain goal because you don't want to lose sight of what you're doing in your day to day, just in case you don't get it?
Yeah, it's sometimes to take smaller steps to get to your goal, and even if you don't get there, then you have taken smaller steps to reach another level. So even if I hit 980, okay, I'm still happy.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, what sometimes when you, as powerlifters, we get so number driven and we focus on numbers that if you don't get that number, then you got to reassess everything, which isn't, it's just a number. Like your day to day, when you're taking silver at Worlds, winning European Championships, whatever number wins. It's a sport. Whatever wins, wins. And whatever gets you medals, gets you medals. And you don't want to bank it all on a number. Just the difference between 997.5 and 1,000 is 2.5 kilo. It's just because it's a round number you're going to bank success on. And you don't want to change that. You know what I mean? The feeling. And I know what you mean, where it's dangerous to get into that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like if you are competing on the Euros or Worlds or something like that, you just, first goal is always win the medal.
Yeah.
Then comes the numbers. The numbers doesn't matter. It might be bad day for you, might be bad day for your opponents. It doesn't matter. First thing first, first medals, then all the rest. So.
Mm-hmm. And are you guaranteed to be going towards the Belarus 2020 World Championships?
I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how my body can take all this beating and stuff. So,
do you how long do you think you want to keep doing this? As a super heavyweight, is there a point where you tell yourself, because you're 185 kilo in Sweden, is there a point where you want to tell yourself, when I hit a few goals and I hit a few things, like I won some titles, maybe a few more years, I'm going to stop, drop some weight, become like a normal life? Or do you think about that, or is there any kind of concern in that way?
Actually, I had to stop last year after the Euros, but then I was like, okay, let's do the Worlds. Actually, my girlfriend told me that the Worlds are in Sweden, it's so close by. I was okay, let's do the Worlds.
Yeah.
and then now it's like, okay, let's do the Euros as well when I'm doing the whole season. And now they invited me to the Iceland. Iceland is so amazing country. I'm like, okay, I'm going there as well.
You can't fail. There'll always be something.
Yeah, it's like a mouse wheel.
Yeah.
You just jump out.
Yeah.
If you are staying in there, you can't get out.
That's it. You can't. And it's tough because here's the thing. For a lot of people, they don't realize like what it takes to be a 120 plus kilo. Like, how many calories a day do you think you consume? Do you know? Do you track?
I don't track so specifically, but I think around 4,000 to 5,000. And yeah, you have to eat a lot. Sometimes you don't want to eat, but you have to. You
force yourself to eat. And do you think, like, if the day you decide I'm done with powerlifting, are you immediately going to drop some weight down, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to drop some weight, but it's like a long-term plan.
Yeah.
And it won't happen like 1 year and I'm like 120 kilos or something like that. I think I take it step by step. Mm-hmm. Lose some weight, live with it, lose some weight, live with it, and so on.
Because that's the thing where when you're used to being 185 kilo and one of the strongest men in the world, and 185 kilo for anybody around the world, that's like 400 pounds. It would be different being smaller, wouldn't it? Like, with that, do you think, like, what you're used to capable of doing right now is like unfathomable for a lot of people to think about? To be totaling like in the mid 900 kilo range and talking about 1,000 kilo total. For most people walking around in the earth, that's just like, they can't wrap their head around that. That's silly talk, right? Very few, the percentage of people in the world that could do what you do at a 7 billion is fractions of 1%. To give that up, you know what I mean? Where it's tough, where like there's always another competition to do. You know, and it's, do you think it'd be weird to give it up, shrink down, and be kind of normal?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't done it yet, so.
Yeah. Is that why? Is that why you keep pushing it off? Do you think? Because you're like, I don't know if I'm ready yet to be normal.
I think not. Maybe I pushing it forward for the next victories, for the next medals, but if I step off, then the first thing, let off the numbers. You can't hit the numbers when which you hit when you were like 180 kilos.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you have to do. You have to realize that you are staying weaker, but that's why I'm planning to do it step by step.
Yeah.
To maintain as much power as possible.
Ah, okay. So do you see, even after you're done powerlifting, you'll always be lifting weights?
Yeah. It's like when you give your finger and it took all my body and and that's it. So if I can't live without lifting weights, and I think it's not possible.
I hear you. I don't care even if I stop powerlifting, I can never stop squatting and deadlifting and bench pressing and lifting weights. Like I want to be like that dude who's 70 years old and be like, oh damn, you're 70, and I'm still lifting weights.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Do you see yourself competing in any weight class besides 120 plus though? Or when you decide I'm dropping body weight, you're done competing?
Never say never. Yeah. I don't know.
It's true. You're right.
Yeah, I know two of my opponents, Christoph from Netherlands and Martin from Norway. They went down to up to 100 class category, and now they're competing in Kaunas. 3 years ago, we competed together in 120 plus, so yeah, it's all possible.
Yeah, I guess you just got to cross that bridge when you get there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So when all is said and done, my friend, let's say, you're an old man looking back, and you've whatever the future's going to unfold before you retire has already happened. When people look back at you and they talk about you and your career, how do you want to be remembered?
Oh, it's a tough one.
That's a tough one, man. That's why I save it for last.
Maybe the most important thing is that they remember me as a big, humble man who lifted a lot of weights, won some things, and that's it, I think. I don't need anything special, so...
Yeah, well, that's humble right there, my friend. That's humble right there, my friend. And possibly a world record?
Never say never.
Well said, my friend. Listen, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. I know you're knee-deep prepping for the European Championships. Good luck in the European Championships.
Thank you.
Hopefully I see you in Belarus. We'll see. If you jump out of that mouse wheel or not. If you stay in there, I'll see you in Belarus. Make sure you say hi when you see me. Is there anybody you want to thank while I have you on here?
I want to thank my family, my teammates, my sponsors, and also my coach Ross. So yeah, but mostly my family, who's been supportive all the time. So.
And if anyone listening wants to follow you on social media, to follow your journey, do you do coaching, by the way?
I coach some of my friends, but nothing serious right now, because it's quite hard to coach and prepare myself for the competition. So I can't do both things.
Yeah.
Some people do, but I can't.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I was just going to let you plug your coaching, but if anyone wants to follow you, just to follow your journey for the European Championship, the World Championship, how do they follow you on social media?
I have an Instagram account, which is called Chubby.
Chubby?
Yeah.
You are a humble, modest man.
Yeah. And this is basically my only social media account. Yeah, I also have the Facebook, but I prefer to use it for my closest friends. And
Gotcha. That's fair, my friend. That's fair. Well, listen, good luck in training and good luck at the European Championships. And if I see you in 2020, I'll see you. Until next time, my friend.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you. Bye.
Bam. Siim Rast. of Estonia. And man, this is the first time we ever had somebody from Estonia. I wasn't sure if they speak like good English, if you would have needed an interpreter or whatnot. He said, nah, I think we'll get by, and we got by just fine. I like having people on from different regions of the world. They don't always get the exposure they should. There's huge social media accounts with the Americans and some Canadians and Western Europeans who they're more into the English culture, so it's easier in terms of translation and whatnot. But it's important. There's some people from regions like that of Europe and all over the world get the exposure they deserve. So give our man the exposure he deserves. Throw this up in your Instagram mini feeds. I will repost. Give us high ratings. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe. If you're listening to it on the audio, please do subscribe. Please do give us high ratings. People like my mans deserve the exposure, and it just helps the sport grow. We're only going to get bigger the more we support each other. With no more else to say, I think it's been a hell of an episode. We did 2 back-to-back today, so make sure you also hit the Ido Ron episode. It is live as we speak from Pack Lapadat.